What are the worst two things that you can combine? I'll give you a second. If you said pineapples on pizza, then you're bitch made because that goes hard. The two things I was thinking of is obesity
Super.
and Britain. That's why I'm breaking down the three families in a British documentary. So grab some toast with Vegemite spread and some good old tea for tea time while we watch this British documentary.
In my mum's secret cupboard, we have chocolate, crisps, caramels, biscuits, candy, every sweet thing in the world. It's chocolate, it's a mint chocolate.
Britain's in the grip of an epidemic. A third of our children are now overweight or obese. Everybody's got a theory about why.
Shops are to blame, governments are to blame, people who make the candy and the sweets, they're to blame.
But behind the headlines, what do the health professionals really think?
It's not medical, because these things start at home.
I think the parents are to blame for overweight children, but they have to be helped.
While I was joking earlier, a person's health is no laughing matter, especially if their health is actively put at risk due to something that can be prevented in the early stages of childhood. That's why I'll be looking at Pavia's family, Tallulah's family, and Roger's family on some more insight on how parents pass down their bad eating habits and how they can relearn their possibly disordered eating and help set up their kids for a long and healthy life.
I would rather she didn't have any fizzy drinks, but that's easier said than done with a kid.
13-year-old Pavia's mom, Claire, says she doesn't know why Pavia has gotten so big when she eats the same as her mother. For one, a 13-year-old should definitely not be eating the same as a grown adult. I think that's kind of obvious. Secondly, even if that is the case, that Claire only sees Pavia eating the same as her, Pavia can easily snack on foods through the day, as we'll see in the park. And some of these snacks are very high in calories.
What's in there? What did you buy today?
I bought chicken tikka sandwich, my crisps, Haribo's, a double decker and a drink, but I'm saving the double decker for later and the Haribo's. So.
Now, not to make fun of her, but I can't really understand. I got 2 bottles of water and 2 crisps. But from what I heard, it sounded like she got a chicken tender sandwich, she got ice cream earlier, and she got a double-decker, some other kind of candy, a bag of crisps, and a soda. All of that put together, it's a little over probably about 1,200, 1,300 calories. Point being, Pavia is snacking a lot during the day. Just that afternoon amount of food that she had was half of what her normal intake should be at her age for a girl. And that isn't even accounting for when she's snacking through the rest of the day and when she's eating with her family. I want you to watch this next clip and tell me what you see that contradicts the normal eating habits of a 13-year-old girl.
I think that Pavia has a big sense of bravado when it comes to her weight. She is very 13-year-old, whatever, deal with it, I'm big, so what, I'm fabulous, and I don't care.
No, I was about to do that!
In case you didn't catch it, Pavia is eating not only her plate of spaghetti, but her friend's leftovers as well, and licking the spoon clean. Assuming Pavia doesn't disproportionately exercise, though, compared to her friends, we can assume that she overeats and possibly binges as well, which are definitely not eating behaviors for a 13-year-old girl. Unfortunately, this isn't where the issues with Pavia stop. Since her weight is rapidly increasing, Claire takes Pavia to see a weight specialist, and it's pretty rough to watch. So, no hate towards Pavia or Claire, but prepare to cringe. It's pretty bad.
Do you know why you're here, Pavia?
Not really.
You might have a little clue.
How interesting. Just look at that.
That's distracting with that phone.
Can you just put the phone away, please? I'm not asking you to
Right, anyway.
She does that like typical 13-year-old like anime scene almost like, it's just so overly dramatic for no reason. And it's so cringe to watch. Like, I'm sorry I had to make you watch that, but it was necessary. But what Claire says in the following clip is also just pretty bad as well.
She's obviously bigger than me.
It is hard at home. It's very hard at
No,
home because I desperately want to help her.
How do you think we could help you, Pavia?
Now the main problem area is up here. All of this going on up here is what's causing me the most physical discomfort. It's like a visceral reaction of discontent coming from this area.
Claire making that comment openly to the doctor about how it's so out of hand that Pavia is clearly bigger than her is out of pocket, honestly. I would definitely not say that in front of my kid. That was pretty bad. If Pavia is having issues controlling her weight and has really bad eating habits now, especially the early entry years into teenage years, like at 13, then she's going to continue into adulthood, putting on more weight probably, and continuing to be obese.
Claire signed herself and Pavia up to a slimming club. But it's been difficult to get Pavia to follow the diet.
Once I started losing the weight and it started coming off quite quickly, I kind of got a bit hooked on it, really. It hasn't been as successful for Pavia, unfortunately. I don't want to push her into going because it's putting that additional pressure on her that we're not supposed to put on kids about the weight and everything.
Since Pavia is still having difficulties with following the diet, Claire introduces a weight specialist. He clarifies what needs to happen in order for Pavia to become more successful in weight loss, or just maintaining her weight in general. I want you to listen to distinctly what the specialist says about what will change Pavia's behavior.
I'm actually not bothered about the food. What I'm interested in is why around food the boundaries appear to be much less firm, but you've got really firm boundaries about her going into Leeds.
Yeah.
For me, another boundary would be we all eat together. We don't eat in our bedroom. 90% of kids who become obese don't change that.
Making Pavia eat with the family allows Claire to see how much Pavia is eating and also limits Pavia from snacking before and after the family meals on empty calories such as ice cream or pizza rolls or whatever they have that's equivalent in Britain. I also want to mention that percentage that the specialist gave. How crazy is it that 90% of children that are obese don't change in their adult years? To me, that's genuinely wild. I thought kids that are obese they probably dealt with it still some when they got to their adult years, but they change most of the time. But that's wild. I didn't know it was 90%. It's pretty heart-wrenching also as a parent, as Claire in this situation, to hear that from the specialist. It's, like Claire says, hard to hear. It's pretty sad. But Claire is changing her habits and her daughter's as well, which is pretty awesome. Good for Claire. And good for Pavia too, if she actually follows through with it. Now, I did focus on Pavia's family for a large amount of this video, but that's because the documentary covered their family the most, at least in this first episode. However, their situation is probably the better of the other two, at least better than Tallulah's situation. The next family we're looking at is Tallulah's family, and the documentary makes a pretty good introduction for them, so let's just go ahead and take a look.
One of the patients at the Leeds hospital is 4-year-old Tallulah, who lives with her mum, Natalie. She's about to start school, but it's hard to find a uniform that will fit.
Do you like that skirt?
I do want it, but I want you now.
Yeah, 8 to 9 years.
So obviously, Tallulah is pretty overweight for her age, so much so that Natalie has to buy a school uniform that fits a 10-year-old. While she did say it was more like 8 or 9, she put it on Tallulah, and it was still pretty tight. So she probably ended up buying a 10-year-old uniform for Tallulah. And how exactly does Natalie explain why Tallulah is so big? Let's go ahead and see.
Tallulah ain't always been big. She was a big baby, but she wasn't like overly massive.
This is more of an excuse than like an actual explanation. Like for me, when I was growing up, I was a pretty big kid, and my grandparents especially would just tell me that I was big boned or that our family was naturally big. Whether I actually have genetics that make me hold on to fat more so than other people, it probably wasn't as detrimental to my weight gain as sitting in my house after coming back from school and just eating and playing video games all day. Similarly, we see Tallulah having pretty big meals for her size and drinking sugary juice all day.
When Tallulah was born, she never had a dummy. She always had a bottle. So as she got older, it went from formula to cow's milk to juice. Now I know that's my fault, but it was easier for me on a night to give her a bottle of juice than to try and sit up with her all night and try and get her back to sleep.
It's one of my favourite dinners.
I cannot see a problem with everything that I give her. I honestly do not believe she's put all this weight on just through what she eats. Thyroid. They said it might be something to do with that.
It's abysmal how much cognitive dissonance Natalie's experiencing. She's feeding a 4-year-old the same serving size as a full-grown man would eat, but then blames the weight gain on thyroid issues, something that doesn't happen until you're in your 20s or 30s. And Natalie knows this too, with her cheeky little smile at the end, but she doesn't really care. That's okay. It's for the future for her to worry about. Her overabundant use of convenience for her children comes at a cost of both their weight gain and their dental hygiene. I didn't want to show it because it's very hard to watch and I'd probably get my video age restricted, but Tallulah has to have all of her baby teeth removed because they're all rotten. And you might be wondering, oh, why would that be? She's eating a lot of food, but they aren't eating so many sweets. Well, you're wrong, because they do eat a lot of sweets, especially when they're shopping.
I gotta get him something to eat quickly, just for while we're going round so they don't whinge and moan at me. Yeah, you getting one of those?
Soy sauce.
And soy sauce.
What's in that again?
Cheese and onion. I reckon it's got a bit of mayonnaise in it or something as well. You're getting apple juice to share. You're both not getting no chocolate, no sweets, no nothing.
A few moments later.
Go and get a Kinder Egg each, quickly.
So not only do both of her kids eat large amounts of food at dinner, but they eat whenever they go shopping as well. And assuming that their family goes through a large amount of food, I'd say that Natalie takes the kids to get groceries at least 1 or 2 times a week. Natalie's resistance against the kids wanting sweets is pretty meager. But if this is her looking good for the cameras, I can only imagine what other things she lets her kids get away with. Not only with food, but their attitudes as well. Natalie experiences the same issues as Claire and the lack of the boundaries she sets for her children. Natalie is never telling her kids no when they ask for candy and misses one of Tallulah's dentist appointments for her teeth, which keep in mind are always hurting Tallulah.
I always try, like every night, every tea time, to cook a proper home-cooked meal.
Do you use kind of convenience stuff then? How much of it would you say?
About 90%.
Raj's family is the only family in the episode depicted with a father figure in the house. When Raj's mom receives the diagnosis from the doctor that Raj has fatty liver and can reverse the diagnosis by losing weight, she questions her control of Raj's diet in the past.
Now that Raj's parents know that their son has fatty liver, it will be up to them to get their son healthy again.
This is a lazy evening, lazy tea. I tend to cook from scratch, but today I'm just doing a lazy tea, so... I sometimes think that maybe I should have been more careful with his diet, but then again, I don't want to cut out completely what he enjoys, but slowly change things, and I'm hoping that, yes, we can reverse his liver problems.
While Raj's mom works on fixing her son's diet, Raj's dad, like a true Chad, hears about Raj's diagnosis, and instead of really saying anything too mean or harsh, he just takes Raj out for a run.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be a dodgy.
Come on. I don't want to say it's not that far.
Not that far?
Yeah.
While running is a great exercise, the diet needs to be worked on more. Raj can very easily out-eat the calories he burned on the run with chicken tenders and fries. Raj continues to exercise with his dad and goes back to the doctor to see if he's made any progress. But after the doctor tells him that he's actually gained weight, his mom comments on this weight gain by what seems to me completely faulting Raj.
Until a few years ago, you won't believe he was like a matchstick. And then suddenly, he became inactive, didn't you? And that's when the weight just piled on. And that's when he started having the problems. Isn't it?
Raj's mom doesn't really seem to be too compassionate. To me, she acts very patronizing towards Raj by adding snarky comments and gestures. She could be encouraging him and helping him learn how to eat better and also learn from the specialist on where she might be messing up as well. Because I can guarantee you, if the tea times that she has looks like that with the frozen foods, I'm certain that Raj is probably not going to lose weight. In any case, the episode ends here and shows how each family is moving forward in the future to change. However, there still seems to be a huge debate on whether it is truly the parents at fault between the weight specialists and the professionals that run the weight loss clinic. I do think parents are most to blame when it comes to childhood obesity. Although I don't think the parents should be criticized, but how dieting works, not only to save their children from a life of unnecessary health issues, but to help themselves as well. I'm very open to what you have to think and would gladly take another look at more of the documentary or material similar to this. Thanks so much for watching, and please sub if you liked.
I'm not going anywhere.